Hi, today I'm starting something completely new for me. I'll try to do a monthly video log about open source software and open source hardware. I'm a professional software engineer and I enjoy working on open source projects. Beware that I'm not a native speaker, so please be forgiving for my pronunciation. It is January 2017 and it is very cold winter here. There is a lot of snow. Perfect time to stay on the keyboard all day long. It is also the perfect time to make a geeky tech videos. I'm very excited and at the same time nervous, so let's get started with the first episode of the open source vlog. There is a new release of the popular open source cross-platform software development framework Qt. Qt 5.8 was released on 23rd of January and it comes with a new version of Qt Creator which is 4.2.1. There are several new important features. Qt Lite is a version of Qt suitable for embedded devices with very restrained hardware capabilities. Another new feature is Qt Wayland Compositor API. Actually, this was included as a technology preview in the previous release of Qt. Now it is fully supported. Wayland is a graphical display protocol which is trying to replace X11. So far, it has been adopted by some smart TVs such as Tizen, by the automotive industry because both Automotive Grade Linux and Geneva development platform are using it, and by some embedded devices. Qt 5.8 brings a new interesting technology preview. Qt Speech is a module for text-to-speech functionality. There is a software change that has the potential to leave a huge mark on the hardware market. After acquiring Ego, Autodesk changed the business model of the popular electronic design automation suite. Now Ego is available with monthly or yearly subscription. The free version for designing two-layer boards remains. A lot of hardware engineers are very frustrated by the subscription model and hopefully they will start using the alternative free and open source electronic design automation suites such as KiCAD. I have been using KiCAD on Ubuntu for my hobby projects and I love it. If you are a Linux user and if you are interested in wearable devices, then you're gonna love this project. It is called Asteroid OS and it is a GNU Linux distribution for smartwatches. Recently, Alpha 1.0 was released. It supports LG, Sony and Asus smartwatches. Asteroid OS relies on the Yocto project and Open Embedded. The user interface is written in QML and the Qt application development framework. Speaking about Linux distributions, there is a major update of Debian 8. Version 8.7 was announced on 14th of January. The majority of the improvements are related to the security, so you better download it if you are a Debian user. There is a new major release of Wine. Wine 2.0 is here and it is ready to run applications written for Microsoft Windows on your favorite GNU Linux distributions. The main highlights are the support for Microsoft Office 2013. Furthermore, it supports 64 bits on Mac OS. Please have a look at the changelog for more details. Business news. Atlassian bought the web-based project management application Trello. The core business of Atlassian is the development of the bug tracking system Jira, which is used by a lot of open source projects for free. In the past, Atlassian was involved in the acquisition of companies developing open source, such as the communication software Jitsi. The majority of the tech news in January are coming from CES, the Consumer Electronics Show. I wasn't in Las Vegas, but I was following the press releases. A lot of new products were announced, but honestly, I didn't see anything groundbreaking. There are a few things related one way or another to open source that I would like to mention. Let's have a quick look on the personal computers. RemixOS is Android adapted for desktops. It powers Remix mini computers and since CES 2017 it can run on any x86 personal computer, including Mac. Year after year, we have been waiting Linux to conquer the desktop market. And honestly, we have to wait more. The company called Endless now offers user-friendly Linux mini personal computer. There is a version with ARM and another version with Intel Celeron CPU. The computer looks very good and the design is very nice. I'm personally impressed by the look of the box. The ARM version comes with 2 GB of RAM and 64 GB of storage. The approximate retail price is $129. The version with Intel Celeron CPU runs at 2.16 GHz and has a 500 GB hard drive. The announced price is $249. Do you remember the $9 computer called Chip? It had a very successful crowdfunding campaign in Kickstarter a year ago. I personally bought 2 of them. Now, Nextthing Co., the company that developed it, released the complete registered documentation during CES. Nextthing Co. released Chip Pro in last October. Chip is powered by OpenWrt ARM system on a chip, and the company Nextthing Co. is investing a lot in open source projects, including the mainline kernel support for OpenWrt systems on a chip. Developers are now working on the integration of chip in various consumer electronic devices. Stay tuned for some interesting projects. If you are still wondering whether open source is a successful business strategy, yes it is, especially for Dell. Oh my god, Ubuntu reported that Dell made tens of millions US dollars from Linux-powered developer laptops. Dell is shipping these laptops with Ubuntu and plans to continue doing it in future. During the last 5 years, the smartphone market has been entirely dominated by iOS and Android. A few other operating systems tried to get a share of this market and failed. Now CES brings some news from the struggling giants BlackBerry and Nokia. The last smartphone, which is designed and engineered in-house by BlackBerry, is called Mercury. This is an Android smartphone with a hardware keyboard. After that, all models with the brand BlackBerry will be designed and manufactured by their partner TCL. Nokia is making a comeback on the smartphone market with an Android smartphone. Unfortunately, the company from Finland lost its glory, but it's now back. Nokia 6 is going to be with Android 7 Nougat, and it is going to be available only for China. A lot of fans of the brand in Europe are disappointed, but it is still good to know that Nokia, the company that used to develop Symbian, Migo and Maemo back in the days, is now back in business with some smartphones. There are several open source platforms such as FirefoxOS, WebOS and Tizen that didn't make a huge impact on the smartphone market but live very successfully in the smart TVs. During Consumer Electronics Show, it was announced that Panasonic will deliver 2 high-end TVs powered by FirefoxOS. We're speaking about big screen TVs with respectively 58 and 65 inches. It was also announced that Firefox 2.5 will be delivered later this year. WebOS is powering all smart TVs manufactured by LG. And now LG has a new interesting project. It combines WebOS, lasers and lumens into another reason to replace the TV. This is a smart projector that in certain cases might be more convenient than a regular TV. The free and open source Linux-based platform Tizen continues to power all smart TVs manufactured by Samsung. Recently, Samsung announced a new technology called QLED. It stands for Quantum Dot Light Emitting Diode, and it provides better and brighter picture. Refrigerators hasn't changed in decades, but still companies are trying to make innovation. So now we have a number of connected fridges. LG puts Amazon Alexa voice service and WebOS on their fridge, which of course goes with a huge touchscreen. Another giant touchscreen refrigerator has been designed and showed during CES by Samsung. It is not clear whether this fridge uses Android, Tizen or some other operating system, but the price range is around $4,000. It's super expensive and it's definitely not the fridge for everyone. In the news from CES, I saw something interesting related to fridge. Unfortunately, I have no information that it is open source, but I'm going to share it with you. It is called FridgeCam, and it takes a photo every time when you open or close the door of your fridge. Of course, there is a mobile application to check the photos that the camera has captured. Let's have a quick look at the wearable devices and smartwatches powered by open source software announced during CES. Samsung Gear S3 made a debut. It is a smartwatch with round screen, a bezel and a Tizen-based wearable operating system, version 2.3.2. This smartwatch relies on Exynos 7270 system on a chip that has a dual CPU with 1 GHz. The connectivity is Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, NFC, and there is a separate version of the watch with embedded SIM. The major new feature compared to the older Gear models is the GPS. Now you can pair the Gear S3 with iPhone and more Android devices. Beware that the connectivity of the Gear smartwatches has been a problem for quite some time. These devices are very picky about the smartphones with which you can pair them. I have been using an older version of the Gear Samsung smartwatch for a while, and based on my personal experience, I can say that the most important use cases for the smartwatches are related to sports activities such as running. Therefore, it is not a surprise that a lot of the Android Wear smartwatches announced during CES are made by companies focused on sports such as New Balance. Casio also announced a few smartwatches powered by Android Wear. I was interested to see the new model from Garmin. It is called Fenix. It is very nice, but unfortunately it is not with an open source operating system. At least it's compatible with Android and iOS. I have to mention one impressive networking device. Linksys announced a dual-band gaming router which is open source ready with support for OpenWrt and DD-WRT. The price range is about $300. It has 4 high-performance antennas and the built-in killer mode, which can detect a killer-enabled computer and adjust the networking for optimal performance for the perfect gaming experience. The exact model is WRT32X, and of course this router has support for the latest Wi-Fi standard 802.11ac. A lot of robots and drones were shown during CES. Unfortunately, they are still just toys, but obviously some of them are so cool. A couple of robots that try to be home assistants appear. LG demonstrated a voice control robot using Amazon's Alexa. Another robot with similar features was announced and demonstrated by the company called Mayfield Robotics. This is a Bosch startup. The robot is called Kuri and costs around $700. I couldn't find enough technical details about it. According to the marketing promises, Kuri should appear on the market at the end of the year. Another hot topic from CES 2017 is the open source in automotive. Google and Fiat Chrysler are working on the integration of Android 7 Nougat in connected vehicles. Automotive Grade Linux is another open source project for the automotive industry. It is a project of the Linux Foundation, and I'm personally proud that I'm among the contributors. During CES, there were demos with the latest version of AGL on the supported hardware platforms with ARM and Intel CPU. It is important to note that this is a Linux-based platform with systemd that relies on Wayland Display Protocol. Speaking about automotive nowadays, we have to mention the advanced driver assistance systems. NVIDIA announced that they are working on supercomputers for the self-driving cars and presented them during CES. Now let's have a look at the new embedded development board. It is coming from ASUS and it has this cool name. It's called the Tinker board. It features a quad-core ARM system-on-a-chip from Rockchip, which brings a quad-core CPU and a Mali GPU. There are 2 GB of RAM and 4 USB ports. Of course, there is an Ethernet and an HDMI. The best part is that it has 40-pin header, which seems to be compatible with the one from Raspberry Pi. And actually, this is one of the new Raspberry Pi competitors. The price is approximately 60 or 70 euros, so it's a little bit more expensive than Raspberry Pi, but brings more power. We'll have to keep an eye on it because I guess it's gonna be a great board. There are a lot of news coming from the Raspberry Pi Foundation in January. Let's start with the major. There is going to be a third version of the Raspberry Pi compute module. It has been officially released and it features the same system on a chip used in Raspberry Pi 3. There are 2 versions of the compute module. The first is a compute module with 1 GB of RAM and 4 GB internal memory. There is no internal memory on the second version. Raspberry Pi compute modules target the industry, and it seems that the industry is kind of adopting them. Next has been already using Raspberry Pi compute modules in their displays. The new desktop environment coming from Raspberry Pi Foundation for Raspberry Pi is called Pixel. This is not something new, but the news are that Pixel now works on x86 compatible machines, which means that you can run it on your Mac or laptop. I already tried this image and it actually works like a charm on my very old ASUS EE-PC. I really enjoy using it, and you can have a look at my other video to see how to boot it on old laptops using a USB stick. Google and Raspberry Pi Foundation announced that they are going to work together. Google is interested in bringing developer tools for artificial intelligence and Internet of Things for Raspberry Pi because there is a huge maker community. Makers can help Google by taking part in a short survey. You can find the link to the survey in the description of the video. I enjoy using my Raspberry Pi Zero, and I know that a lot of people love it. One of the problems with Raspberry Pi Zero is that it comes without pre-soldered header pins. This could be annoying if you don't have a soldering iron. But here is a great solution that does not require any soldering. Pimoroni is selling a GPIO hammer header. It's called hammer because you need a hammer to plug it on your Raspberry Pi Zero. Have a look at this great project that is trying to create a blobless Linux for Raspberry Pi. Blobless means that there will be no binary files within the firmware or the Linux kernel drivers. So far the project is work in progress, but there is a minimal Linux kernel image that can be booted. Raspberry Pi 3 is with a processor with ARMv8 architecture. The hardware is always a step ahead of the software, therefore the majority of the GNU Linux distribution available for Raspberry Pi 3 and the previous models were built for ARMv6 and ARMv7. The engineers at SUSE decided to recompile all their packages for ARMv8 and to get the enterprise GNU Linux distribution on Raspberry Pi 3. This is the first 64-bit and enterprise OS coming to Raspberry Pi 3. In the last section of the video log, we'll have a look at the open source crowdfunding projects. And we're starting with something huge. It's the OpenWrt crowdfunding for the world's first open source RISC-V based 30-bit microcontroller. RISC-V is a new instruction set that was originally designed to support computer architectures research and educations. Now, the architecture is trying to become a standard for open architecture for industry implementation. There is a crowdfunding campaign going at CrowdSupply. There is still a month to go, but the goal is pretty high, so it will be hard to gather all the money needed to continue the development. Onion Omega 2 is a $5 Linux computer with built-in Wi-Fi, which is designed for Internet of Things. There was a very successful crowdfunding campaign in Indiegogo that was successfully funded on 23rd of August last year. The shipping of the first perks started in November and December 2016, and now my favorite blog, CNX Soft, did a great unboxing tutorial as well as getting started instructions for the Omega 2. Have a look at the link of the video to learn more. In January, the project Jivois was successfully crowdfunded through Kickstarter. The contributors gathered more than $100,000 to make this project happen. Jivois is coming from the French words meaning I see. This is a tiny self-contained package with video sensor, quad-core CPU, USB video, and a serial port. It is powered by a lot of open source software tools for image recognition, such as OpenCV. You can connect Jivois to your computer, Raspberry Pi, or even Arduino. The price starts at $49 and the crowdfunding has been very successful. The last project that I've selected from the crowdfunding was not successful, but although it failed, the idea was very nice, therefore I would like to share some details. This is a smartwatch powered by ARM Cortex processor. There is a Bluetooth connectivity and a software support for the popular Arduino libraries. The crowdfunding failed, but you may adopt the idea and make your own do-it-yourself wristwatch. There are a few tutorials available on the internet. Thank you very much for staying with me until the end of the first episode of the open source video log. I'll try to make the next episode in February, so please stay tuned for more videos. In the meantime, you can have a look at my other videos and tutorials.